In the land of Canaan, where dust rose beneath the feet of shepherds and the memory of God's promises lingered in every well, and also there lived a young man named Joseph, the son of Jacob, whose life unfolded at the meeting point of divine purpose and human frailty. He was born into a household shaped by covenant yet strained by rivalry, a family blessed by God but burdened by old wounds that had never fully healed. Joseph was not merely the favored son of his father. He was a mirror reflecting unresolved tensions among brothers who labored under the same sun but carried very different weights in their hearts. From his early years, Joseph sensed that his life was marked for something beyond the ordinary. His dreams came unbidden, vivid, and unsettling, speaking in the language of symbols that reached beyond his understanding. Sheaves bowed in the field, stars bent low in the heavens, and though Joseph did not yet grasp their full meaning, he spoke of them openly, unaware that truth revealed without wisdom can wound as deeply as deception. His brothers, hardened by years of comparison and quiet resentment, heard not the voice of destiny but the echo of favoritism they had endured since childhood. What might have been a mystery to ponder became, in their minds, an insult too heavy to bear. The day came when Joseph was sent to check on his brothers in the fields of Dathan, a journey that would quietly divide his life into before and after. When they saw him approaching from afar, clothed in the garment that symbolized his father's affection, something dark took shape among them. Words became sharp, plans hardened quickly, and mercy found no voice strong enough to be heard. Joseph, expecting nothing more than a report to carry home, walked instead into betrayal. Stripped of his robe, cast into a dry cistern, and sold to passing traders, he disappeared from his father's sight as though swallowed by the earth itself. In Egypt, Joseph entered a world ordered by power, hierarchy, and gods carved of stone. He was no longer a favored son but a slave in the house of Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. Yet even there, far from the land of promise, the presence of God did not abandon him. Joseph worked with diligence and integrity, and what he touched prospered, not because of luck, but because faithfulness carries its own quiet authority. Trust was placed in his hands, responsibility grew, and for a moment, it seemed that the wounds of the past might begin to close. But injustice has a way of resurfacing, often when hope feels closest. Falsely accused and imprisoned for a crime he did not commit, Joseph descended again, this time into darkness lit only by iron bars and unanswered prayers. The prison was a place where forgotten men waited for time to erase their names. Yet even there Joseph did not surrender to bitterness. He listened, he served, and when dreams troubled the sleep of others, he interpreted them with humility, acknowledging that understanding belongs to God alone. Still, gratitude proved fleeting, and Joseph was forgotten once more, left to measure the days by shadows on stone walls. Years passed before the silence broke. Pharaoh himself was disturbed by dreams no wisdom in Egypt could explain. Then, at last, Joseph was remembered, summoned from the depths to stand before a throne he had never imagined approaching. Cleaned and clothed, he spoke not with fear but with clarity, revealing dreams of abundance and famine, of preparation and consequence. His words carried weight because they were not shaped by self-interest but by discernment born of suffering. In a single day, Joseph rose from prisoner to governor, entrusted with authority second only to Pharaoh, charged with safeguarding a nation against the coming scarcity. When famine spread beyond Egypt's borders, it reached Canaan, driving Joseph's brothers to seek grain in the very land where he now ruled. They stood before him unaware, bowed low as once seen in dreams long past, their voices filled with need rather than pride. Joseph recognized them instantly, yet they did not know him. Power rested fully in his hands, and with it came a test far greater than any he had faced before. Revenge would have been easy, justified even by human measure, but Joseph chose a harder path, one shaped by patience and discernment rather than impulse. Through a series of measured encounters, Joseph observed their hearts. He saw fear, guilt, and concern for their youngest brother, signs that time and hardship had worked a change in them. When the moment came, Joseph revealed himself not with accusation but with tears, releasing years of restrained grief. The brothers trembled, expecting judgment, but instead they were met with grace that stunned them into silence. Joseph spoke of God's purpose not as an abstract idea, but as a living reality that had woven betrayal, suffering, and endurance into a design larger than any single act of evil. He sent for his father, and Jacob came down to Egypt, his family preserved through the very son they had once cast aside. What had been intended for harm had become the means of survival, not only for one household but for nations. Yet Joseph did not present this truth as triumph over others. He carried it with humility, understanding that divine purpose does not erase pain but redeems it, transforming wounds into wells from which life can still flow. As years passed and Jacob died, fear returned to the hearts of Joseph's brothers. They wondered whether mercy had been temporary, whether restraint had been rooted in respect for their father rather than genuine forgiveness. When they came again, pleading for their lives, Joseph wept once more, not from anger but from sorrow that they still did not understand the depth of grace extended to them. He assured them that judgment belonged to God and that his own role was to preserve life, not to destroy it. In this, Joseph embodied a wisdom shaped not by innocence but by experience, a strength refined through long obedience in hidden places. Joseph's story did not end with spectacle but with quiet faithfulness. He lived and died in a foreign land, holding fast to the promise that God would one day bring his people home. His bones were carried forward as a testimony that divine faithfulness stretches beyond individual lifetimes, that what God begins he completes in ways unseen by those who first take the steps. In the unfolding of Joseph's life, power was redefined, suffering was given meaning, and forgiveness proved stronger than vengeance. Dreams once misunderstood were fulfilled not through force but through patience, integrity, and trust in God's timing. The arc of his journey reveals that faithfulness does not prevent hardship, but it shapes what hardship becomes. Betrayal did not have the final word, nor did injustice, nor did fear. Purpose endured quietly, working through each descent and ascent, until what was broken was made whole, not by denying the past, but by allowing it to serve a future guided by divine wisdom.